one that people are most familiar with is ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm.
They had temples that were dedicated to doing dream incubation,
Mm.
which is related to what we were just talking about in terms of doing healing work and dreams. So you would go there if you had a challenge or a problem, or you're limping, your legs hurt or something. You go to this temple, and there are folks there who are trained in doing this type of work in ancient Greece,
Right.
not now. And so you go through a ritual, you know, for in particular to your case of what's going on, and then you dream on it. You sleep there at the temple. And whatever you remember, whatever's going on in your dreaming is taken very seriously. And again, it's sort of like we were saying before, that spiritual element behind different illnesses.
But what about the cultures from Australia?
Yeah, well, in more indigenous cultures, it gets very interesting for me because the dreaming is seen to be of a particular land. You know, so it's almost like the earth is dreaming us into being, if you will.
Oh,
which
that's
is a really different way of looking at
it is.
Than the Western idea. So if you go to Australia and you're in touch with the Aboriginal peoples there, the dreaming is very particular to a certain place. So you may have kangaroo dreaming or lizard dreaming or cliff dreaming. And that's how you distinguish what your clan is, what tribe you kind of belong to in that culture.
Okay.
So it's incredibly important in that. And anybody who's ever traveled knows that your dreaming changes when you sleep in different places.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
It's interesting to think about that. And so that, you know, using dreams as deep messages from the earth, from the unconscious, from spirit, is a process that goes back as long as human beings have been on this earth. And sometimes it was used to figure out where to hunt. In some places it still is used to figure out where to hunt. And also certain spiritual afflictions. You know, there's a tribe in the Amazon, and every morning they sit around and instead of reading the morning paper, they talk about their dreams. And that's, you know, an incredibly rich part of their culture and how they interact with one another and how they make decisions. And it may be very specific and practical, like hunting. And it may be somebody who's, you know, just lost a spouse and is in deep grief.
Right.
You know, so the idea of that, you know, we're only as strongest as our weakest link in those kind of cultures is fairly evident, because like, oh, well, what did you dream? Okay, well, what does this person need? We're going to see what the dream has to say about that.
So it's very real to them. They
Very
use
real.
dream in their daily activities in their own life.
Yeah.
Something that we kind of, you know, shy away from
Yeah.
here. We like people
Well,
just
we think it's
ignore
all
them.
just a mind trip. Oh, well, I dreamed about them because I was talking to them before. And, you know, of course, our day-to-day life does fuel our dreams. That's, you know, and I do think there's a level of dreaming which is very much about processing what goes on during the day, you know, in our sleep. But there's a whole nother level to dreaming besides that that's so rich. And I think it piggybacks off the idea of, you know, you have something challenging happens with somebody and you say, oh, sleep on it. You'll feel better in the morning.
Here, I believe this is my chart, and I'm going to ask Liz to take a look at it and probably tell me a little bit more about myself.
More about yourself?
Yeah, about the moon aspect probably.
Well, the moon aspect, yeah. So is there any particular question you have, or you just
No,
want to hear
just
more
in
about the
general, I
moon?
guess, you know, probably would be the best time for me to dream, I guess. I don't know.
The best time for you to dream, yeah. Well, for
Besides
you,
at night.
yeah, but besides, you can dream during the day too, if
Okay.
that works for you. Take a deep nap. For you, with your chart, you have what's very close to a full moon in your chart. So you were born very close to the full moon, which I take pretty seriously when I look at a chart. And so what that would mean for your dreaming in terms of this cycle, we talked a little bit about the full moon, not a lot, but it's when somebody is in a full moon cycle in their chart, there's a lot of emotion to it. It's a fairly passionate placement, and relationship is really a key thing for full moon people. And struggling with it, enjoying it, they tend to experience some pretty highs and lows in their relationship life. And so that's just something to keep in mind. It's also a very creative placement too. Full moon people are known for that creative. You think about, you know, folks talk about what goes on during the full moon. There's crazy parties. There's a lot happening. Performances, that kind of thing. Just this energy, this sort of culmination, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's, again, and it's somebody who tends to have a pretty strong connection to their emotions. Somebody who has a strong heart heart connection as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, particularly with the Cancer moons, you know, they really deeply value the sense of family, a sense of familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, 12th house moon, you've got a great setup here for dreaming, I got to tell you.
Oh, okay.
12th house is often related to the unconscious process. So somebody's got a moon there natally, it's a place that you can go day to day, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to relate to this deeper part of the human experience, whether you want to call it the Akashic records or dream time, whatever.
So does it show like a
There's
lot of psychic influence or something in that
There's
aspect of
definitely,
the
I would
planet?
definitely call this a fairly psychic placement, yeah, because it's a, you know, and it's more of a psychicness from an emotional point of view, of feeling things in your body or having like, I would, looking at your chart, I would bet you have a pretty strong kind of gut reaction. You kind of feel things, and when things make you uneasy.
Yeah, yeah, I get a spider sense almost about
Spider
certain
sense, yeah, exactly.
Sometimes
about
about some
specific
things.
people, you know, there's a
yeah,
lot
about
of stuff.
situations, and it's like, hey, you know,
Yeah.
this situation, you need to like,
Yeah.
I don't know how good I listen to this intuition, but it has
Yeah.
been trying at times.
Yeah, well, it
You
is.
know.
I mean, because everything in the culture is like tells you to ignore it. When part of
Right.
you is just always going to know. You're always going to feel that when you walk in and something doesn't seem quite right. You know?
What is spirituality to you?
What is spirituality to me? That's a great question. Spirituality to me is becoming more and more who you already are. So many folks are looking outside themselves, you know, me included sometimes, to find the answer. And spirituality to me is coming more and more whole with what's going on for you. And I think it's an exciting time that we live in because more and more folks are wanting to really walk their talk. And it's not so
Yeah.
much about going up on a mountaintop, but it's like, how can I be real with you? And how can I be compassionate in my day-to-day life? You know, versus getting lost in some theory or some guru. It's like just being able to apply it to your day-to-day life and become a more happy person.
Thank you for joining us here on New Age Paradigm. Until we meet again, peace.